Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today for the third day of this Power Series session. This Power Series session, uh, we have been discussing what all to include in a pitch deck. And yesterday, we had the chance to have the second day, and before that, the first day, and we discussed a number of things. Just to encapsulate once again, I will share my screen. Uh, just a minute. Um, so just have a look at the screen. Are you able to see the screen? Can you put it on chat? Why, if you are able to see the screen? Uh, yes. Okay. Thank you. Welcome all of you once again. And I will give my introduction as well. But, just to give reference, in the last two classes, we discussed problem statement, solution, team, market size, product, traction, competitor analysis, competitive advantages, and financial projections. And today we will be discussing about the fund ask, the use of funds, and the future roadmap. And uh, and also Amit Gupta is okay. So just a minute. I will share the screen once again. Just give me a second, please. And also give my introduction. Just a minute. Okay. So here is my introduction. I'm Tushar Kansal. My company's name is Consultancy Ventures. I will just give my LinkedIn profile and corporate website on the chat so that all of you can uh, connect with me. Just a sec. So this is my LinkedIn profile and corporate website, and also the videos of my talks are there in this channel. I will just share the channel with you as well. Okay. And about me, I am an accomplished professional um, with experience spanning more than 20 years. I was part of the private equity team at Deloitte and Touche. And then I was part of the team at Brand Capital, which is Times of India's venture arm. I was heading treasury at the Russian company Systema's India unit. And at that time, I had raised $2.5 billion of debt for the company in 3 years. And I was CFO of a logistics company called Distribution Logistics, which is owned by the American private equity fund Guggenheim Partners. I'm a mentor and judge at 5 Indian Institutes of Technology: IIT Mumbai, IIT Delhi, IIT Chennai, IIT Kharagpur, and IIT ISM Dhanbad. My company has expertise of financial and business advisory, fundraising, and creation of documents and collaterals for VC funding. This year, I was awarded Business Leader of the Year in Investment Management in an event, Asian African Business Summit, which was held by Asian African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I am a venture advisor with Loyal VC, the INSEAD-led Canadian VC fund, having a core portfolio of over 200 investments in more than 35 countries. I've arranged funding for technology and non-technology companies in diverse sectors. My expert opinion is often sought by leading business news channels and publications like CNN News 18, Venture Capital TV, Business World, Business and Economy, and Digital Market Asia. I have done more than 200 talks in the last 1.5 years. You can check on YouTube, my name Tushar Kansal, or on VCTV streaming site, latoken.com, and my corporate website, consultancy.com. I'm connected to more than 350 investors globally, picking up global deals while being sector agnostic. My ticket size is $200,000 to $50 million. Academically, I did my executive education from Harvard Business School, MBA in finance from University of Delhi, and BTech from Technological Institute of Textile and Sciences, which is affiliated to the Textile Institute, Manchester, UK, and part of the leading industrial and educational house in India, the Birla Group. So thank you once again, all of you, for joining in today. I will share my screen and we'll take off from where we were on day 1 and 2. Just for everybody's reference, I'm sharing the video recordings of day 1 and 2 so that after this you can have a look at the what we discussed earlier in case some of you missed it. So today we are going to discuss day 3 and pitch deck and power series, and we have been discussing why this, why now, why you, and why me. Now let us talk about funding ask and valuation. MSMEX, are you able to see the screen changing? Zaki? Hello, Zaki? If all of you are able to see the screen on ask and valuation, you can, okay. Thank you. So our ask. Now, a lot of people ask me that how much fund should we ask for? And that depends a lot on the valuation of the company. But having said that, if an investor is understanding the investment opportunity and he wants to know that if he puts in his money, then how far will his money go? If he puts in $1 million, what will that $1 million achieve? And you have to convince him that we require $1 million for a period of 12 months or 18 months. Best is 18 months. See, every investor wants that the money he gives should be used in expansion and growth of the company. So that is why instead of taking equity shares from the founders directly, the company issues fresh shares and the money comes in the company and it goes in the growth of the company. So if you are asking for $1 million and you are telling him that it will last for a cash burn of 18 months, the investor would like to know where his money will go and what will it achieve. So you can tell him that we will do the PMF, we will have the platform ready, we will have this many customers by the time this money gets used up, we would have opened these many offices and all that. And the ideal duration of cash burn for asking this money is 18 months. But many investors, many founders, they ask for 12 months. So giving an example here, suppose you're asking for $1 million. So how will you use that money? You can use that money in operations, marketing, IT development. And let me tell you, those of you who want to have a consumer startup, be very well aware that once a platform gets ready, a consumer platform, and it has customers, that is the ideal situation for an investor to get in. Platform is ready, proof of concept over, minimum viable product over, product market fit over. The strategy, go to market strategy is there, distribution strategy is there, customer profiling is there, secondary and primary research has already been done as to the demand for the product and the features of the product and the pricing of the product. All it requires is investor puts in some money, and that money goes in for growth. So if you tell the investor everything is ready, I need $1 million, and 90% of it will go for marketing, he will happily give it to you, because it goes into marketing, the revenue numbers increase, the operating profit increases, number of subscribers, active subscribers increases, the valuation increases exponentially. And that is why consumer funds have been raising more and more funds. So Fireside Ventures recently raised another $118 million fund. And Sixth Sense, Nikhil Vora, they raised another, I think, north of 450 crores recently. And DSG Consumer Partners, Deepak Shahdatpuri, based out of Singapore, they have been very successfully raising funds, because whatever investments they have already done, the value of those investments is increasing all the time. So there is a lot of proof behind whatever they are doing. So now within funding needs and allocation, I just discussed with you that the investor wants to know where his money will go. So suppose you're asking for 80 lakhs. Now you are saying it will last you for 8 to 10 months, cash burn of 8 to 10 months, 2 cities to expand, Hyderabad and Bangalore. Very limited growth, but capturing the top 2 technology cities in India, which is Hyderabad and Bangalore. 16 team size, 25 vendors, 2,000 household movements, as in the working capital movements, and vendor APP CRM, vendor app CRM. And if you plot it on a bar chart, pie chart, then you can give it, he'll be able to understand it more. Like 24.5 goes in for marketing. Out of 80 lakhs, 24.5 is straight away going for marketing. 16 is going for sales. 10 is going for setup and others. 9.5 is going for operations. 8.4 is going for technology and product. And 8 is going for risk capital. So you have clearly laid down that majority of the money, which is almost 50%, almost 40 lakhs, is going for sales and marketing. Then whatever balance sheet the investor has and whichever investments they make, they have to do accounting. So in the accounting, they have to give a mark to market value of their investments from time to time. So suppose he puts in 80 lakhs. Then after 1 year, in the accounts, audited accounts, he has to say that the value of my investment as per market rates is probably this much. And that is the mark to market rate. So if you tell him, just look at the last line, post fund, we will raise around 10 to 12 crores to rapidly expand into all tier 1 and selected tier 2 cities. So after this fundraise, we will raise another 10 to 12 crores. And the investor can clearly see that this 10 to 12 crores will be raised at a fantastic valuation as compared to the valuation in which he entered. So the mark to market price of his investment in your company will be quite significantly higher. So he will be happily telling his limited partners, his LPs who have put in the money, that we are sitting on a lot of capital gains. So that is the, you have to lay it down, that how much money you will be raising in the next round, and what will it achieve. So, it says expanding into tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Exit possibilities. Now, when the investor shares a term sheet, in the term sheet, there are many exit options. So the first exit option is that the company will come out with an IPO in 5 years. 4 or 5 years, usually 5 years. If that doesn't happen, then the company will buy back the equity at the promised internal rate of return, IRR, and buy back the equity from the investor. If that doesn't happen, the company founders will give the IRR to the investor and buy back the equity. If that doesn't happen, the company will appoint a third party valuer like a big four firm, Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Ernst & Young. And the fifth one is Grant Thornton. So we'll appoint any of the big four, do an independent valuation, and sell the equity to a third party investor. If that doesn't happen, then the company will look for mergers and acquisitions. So merging with another startup on a share swap, or share swap come cash. So some of the amount can be in shares of the other company and rest can be in cash. Or the investor will say that maximum should be in cash. So all these options are built in the term sheet. So when you are giving the exit possibility, see, India has been a very difficult country for exits. India, investors find that exits are very difficult. So with the IPO of Zomato, things have improved quite a lot. Nykaa has come in now, and all of them have lined up, Paytm. And it used to be the case that these startups used to tell the government that we can't come out with an IPO because we have losses. But our valuation in the private space, unlisted space, is in billions. So SEBI, which is the agency for listed stock exchanges, for stock exchanges and listed companies, one of the clauses of SEBI for those companies which wanted to come out with an IPO was that 50% of the issue size should be reserved for retail. Retail means individuals like you and me. And it means 1 lakh rupees per person. 1 lakh is the maximum amount a person can apply for the IPO shares. And 50% for institutional. So the institutions have a lot of money. So the institutional portion used to get subscribed. And many times, if you are coming out with a 16,000 crore IPO, and the retail portion does not get subscribed, so your IPO used to fall through. And if your IPO used to fall through, you get such a bad name in the market that you cannot come out with an IPO again, like what happened with Emaar MGF. So SEBI has recently been flexible, starting with Zomato, in which the retail portion is only 10%, was only 10%. So they allowed majority of the market making. When an IPO comes, we call it market making, finding the price, finding which investor should be the initial shares be sold to. So they allowed this market making within big institutional investors. So the retail portion in Zomato was only 10%. So 90% money was raised from institutional investors, which have paying capacity and which have holding capacity also. So that is why that IPO was very successful. And now all these IPOs are coming with institutional money. So exit possibilities. What should we tell to the investor? And the first thing is secondary sale of equity, that the shares held by the investor are directly sold to another investor. So the money straight away goes to the investor's account. It does not come in the company. Second is liquidation opportunities. Again, it can be IPO or any such route. Third is buyback of shares by the founders. Then mergers and acquisitions. So I think housing.com, the fund guys really wanted to exit housing.com, and they were not able to exit. So I think it got sold to OLX or Quicker. I'll just check. I think it got sold to Quicker, I think. Did not get sold. I think it got merged with the Quicker. Yeah. Housing.com got merged with Quicker. So it was a very nice way of using M&A to get an exit. Then M&A by strategic companies. So Google and Facebook, between the two of them, and Amazon, the big tech companies, which are called the FANGs, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, they buy out thousands of companies every year. So they see any new technology, anything which can disturb their market share, they just buy it out. And their own valuations are in stratosphere. So they are able to give you amazing valuations. So many companies, they create such a niche in the market that it becomes imperative for the big fish to buy you out. And so you can look to do an M&A by strategic companies the way Byju's is doing. Byju's is killing competition. It is aggregating. It is aggregating competition, and it becoming an umbrella company which will eventually wants to hold a monopoly. So that is one option, M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Third is some unusual ways, very unusual. See, an investor is entitled to dividends of the company, but startups usually don't pay dividends because they are in losses. So they want to use the money for expansion rather than paying it out to the investor through dividends. So profit sharing after 3 years. Once in the first 2 years, the break even happens, then the cash flow turns positive. The company has profits and increasing profits. That time you can have some formal understanding with the investor and do profit sharing. And then buyback of shares by the company. So when a company buys back the shares, these shares are called treasury shares. So the company holds its own shares in the balance sheet in its treasury. And these treasury operations are done by big companies all the time. Reliance keeps on doing it. They keep on buying and selling their shares. And so, buyback of shares by the company is one exit strategy. And then IPO. Within IPO, small and medium enterprises, SME IPO exchange is a division of Bombay Stock Exchange, and I think NSE also, National Stock Exchange. So the small IPOs like 50 crores, they can come on SME. Liquidity used to be an issue in the SME IPO exchanges. So the market making used to be done by known people, families, friends. But now the situation has improved. Now the liquidity is more available in the SME IPO exchange. Or you can go for the main board IPO listing or global exchange listing. So how do you do global exchanges listing? So you open a holding company in a jurisdiction, which means a country where the taxes are low. So Singapore has, India has 10 to 20% capital gains tax. Singapore, uh, I think it's 0%, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check, but it is very low, if at all it is there. So a lot of companies open holding companies in Singapore, and they list the holding company in foreign exchanges like New York Stock Exchange. The most famous is Nasdaq in the US, and Hong Kong used to be an option, but nowadays problem. Dubai Stock Exchange is not a great deal, and in Singapore. So the Singapore is the gateway to Asia. A lot of money which comes to Asia from the multinational parents, it comes via Singapore. And Singapore has more than 1400 regional treasury centers, RTCs, and 1400 big companies. They maintain the Asia treasury at Singapore. So global exchange listing, like recently Freshworks listed on Nasdaq, and it commanded a valuation of $10 billion. And that is a very good option. But for that, you will have to have a holding company abroad. Like Make My Trip had opened a holding company in the beginning only. So they listed on New York Stock Exchange. And till today, they are in losses, but they command more than 45% market share. And the investors who are sitting in America, Europe, UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, they are happy funding the losses as long as the company is number one online travel company in India. For them, the valuation is top down, number one online travel company of India. That is sufficient. They will keep on funding losses. They will keep on giving good valuation. Just like it happens with Alibaba, it happens with Amazon. All these top three in any country, they get a top-down valuation, which is linked to the GDP of the country rather than linked to the profit and loss account of the company. So global exchanges listing is another option. Now, we have been seeing some assignments in the previous classes. So revenue model we had discussed yesterday, that Airbnb 10% commission, and we had discussed about the financials, and we had discussed about how to give your metrics, your financial metrics like CAC, cost of acquisition, and average number of images published per day, how to depict that. So today we are talking about ask and utilization. So the ask, you have to break down the ask. How will you use the ask? What will it result in? How many team members will get added? How many customers? How many vendors? And a pie chart which gives the breakdown of spending that money across marketing and so on. And exit opportunities we discussed. So IPO, buyback by the company, treasury shares, buyback by founders, mergers and acquisition, and then profit sharing, which is usually not so much used, and any secondary sale of shares. So all these exit opportunities. Now, some of the tips: when you are showing your company, you have to show your company in the best light possible. So when you are showing your company in the best light possible, maintain some hygiene. So I will give you examples what not to do. So, I'll very interesting. A person had gone to meet Warren Buffett, and he said um, that when I'm making a decision, I always try and think that what are the top three ways in which I can make the best decision. So, what is the best decision, second best decision, and third best decision? And Warren Buffett said uh, he looked at Charlie Munger, both of them are long time partners, and he said, uh, we always start to think that what is the dumbest thing we can do in this situation. So, what is the thing which would be the worst thing possible in this situation? So, these are some hygiene tips on what not to do, what to do, and what not to do. So, storytelling, tell a story. Naturally, you're talking about what your company will achieve in the next 5 years, and how you see the market, and how you will capture the market. So, naturally, you have to tell a story that, how will you lay out the business, and what opportunity you see in the market. You have to narrate the story and convince the other person by the story. Then the metrics, like what will you achieve, so you have to tell the numbers. Use a lot of pictures, it should be rich in pictures, and the benefits it will have for the investor. These four things you have to keep in mind. uh, what you don't have to do is be long and boring. So sometimes I get pitch decks, they are full of paragraphs. This is happening, that is happening, this happened in the past, that happened. They keep on, it's like writing a book. So don't do that. Manuscript is the same thing, like very long and text rich. Don't use too much of text. The attention span of an analyst in a fund, it is a research that the fund guy spends 90 seconds on an average on a pitch deck. So their attention spans are very low. They get 20, 30 pitch decks a day. Sorry, not pitch decks. They get 20, 30 new companies a day. Some of them are calls and some of them are decks. So their attention span. So you have to intelligently give your story with a lot of pictures and not too much of text. Then the features, a lot of companies, they say our mobile app would have this feature, that feature. You can probably give a demo to the investor, but stuffing all the features in the pitch deck, that is a no. Don't do that. Like features, look at these features. It's a diesel engine, it's a car detail, displacement, power, maximum torque, number of cylinders, valves per cylinder, valve configuration, fuel supply system, turbocharger, supercharge. See, nobody understands this, and the investor, he never worked in a car company probably. So all these things sound like, uh, you know probably he won't be really keen to know. But what he will be keen to know is the last benefit. Mileage is 24.7 kilometers per liter. This is what he's interested in, that your car, what is the benefit which it gives. So don't make it feature rich, but give the benefit. Look at these pictures. um, so lot of pitch decks which give so many brands stuffed in one page: K-12 education, test prep, broad online learning, tech learning, apps and games for kids, networking and portals, finance, language learning. So not to be done. Don't do that. Don't stuff it with brand logos. This is a text rich. Don't do that. Too much of text. What is our revenue model? So when one is in college or MBA school or college, you tend to write all the presentations, lot of them in text. So some people make it on Word file, some people make it on PPT. but they give a lot of text. So um, so that is something which puts off the viewer of the pitch deck. And when you are in college, you make financials in Excel sheet. So you just copy the Excel sheet, paste it as a picture or as an Excel on PPT. And that is something which, again, the investor, his attention span won't allow him to really value this information in this format. He would like to see more information which is descriptive, which is pictorial, and which has graphs and bars and charts, and in terms of what benefits the product has and what benefits the investor will get. Then so it is tempting to solve too many problems. So when you are deciding what your product will do, you want to solve a number of problems, but it don't try to do that. This guy recently, I know, he recently met SoftBank owner, um, and uh, and uh, and this guy gave him a tip. He said, try to keep some value for each stakeholder. So suppose you are Oyo, your stakeholders are the investor, the customers who use the hotels, the people who own the hotels, your employees, and the management and the government. So he said, try to keep value for all the stakeholders. So although the company is solving only one problem, which is ease of availability of cheap uh, residential accommodation across the country, but at the same time, if you keep some benefit for each stakeholder, uh, so everybody has the skin in the game. So if you say that I pay my hotel owners in time, and uh, they use technology for checking their accounts and everything, it's a big value for them as compared to their normal way of working. For the people who check in, the customers, a very nice tech platform, nice booking, and even easier way to cancel the booking, maybe seeing photographs of the accommodation and having a map of the location on the website, and being able to talk to the hotel owner or the customer care. So that is one big advantages for the customers. For the government, uh, easy ways in which you pay your taxes, and you pay your taxes in time. And for the investors, uh, you know no small print, no fine print. You provide them the information in time, keep them as your partners rather than just pure investors. And so that was the tip which SoftBank owner had given to one of the clients of mine who had met him a month back. So this is it. Very short. Um, Basically, the first day we had discussed. So the first day we had discussed problem statement, solution, market size, competition. Second day we discussed team, product, business model, traction, financial projections. Today we discussed funding ask, exits, use of funds, and future roadmap. Future roadmap, I would like you to see this future roadmap. Sorry, I just hold on. Okay, that sample is not there. So future roadmap would mean all your financial and non-financial targets which you will achieve in the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. So if you end with that, it leaves a very good taste in the mind of the investor. So just showing you the PPT once again. Why this? Why now? Why you? Why me? Day 3, pitch deck power series. Ask and valuation, $1 million to be used in operations, marketing, IT. Funding needs 80 lakh rupees. What will it result in? How many cities, vendors, and so on. And the pie chart as to how will you use it. Then your next fundraise, because you have to give the you have to give a laddu to the investor that his mark to market valuation will rise very soon. So you will raise another 10 to 12 crores very soon. So naturally, he'll be very happy about it. Then exit possibilities, future round, mergers and acquisitions, profits, and IPO. And as I told you, M&A, mergers and acquisitions is the last option. Because also, see, if it's all about the valuation, if Google and Facebook is giving you good valuation in the middle of your investment rounds, naturally the investor will say, let us sell out. So M&A is, although it's the last option, but many times it becomes the first option. And future rounds, I told you, IPO, buyback of shares by the company, buyback of shares by the founders. IPO, as I told you, SME IPO, small IPOs, 25 crore, 50 crore. And a global exchange listing, like you open a holding company abroad and list that company in NASDAQ and or Singapore Stock Exchange, and take advantage of the huge liquidity which is always available in these financial centers. It used to be available in London and Hong Kong also, but both of them have gone down. London because of Brexit, and Hong Kong because of the recent moves of the Chinese government. And Dubai Stock Exchange is not so popular. So basically, the options are either NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, or Singapore Stock Exchange. These are the three. And you can compare also, like if you keep investment bankers, we call it the beauty parade. When we are doing an IPO in Treasury, we call it the beauty parade. We inform all the iBankers we are coming out with an IPO. They keep on coming and meeting you in suits and ties, and they give you their financials that, you know, we will charge you this much and that much. And then you tell them, boss, how much valuation you will get me? What will be the best market making you can do for my shares? So they tell you, sir, we have spoken to our US division. If you do it in NASDAQ, you will get 10 billion valuation. If you do it in Singapore, probably $8 billion valuation. If you do it in India, probably $5 billion valuation. And then you have to decide that where you have to do it. And then there is something called hard underwriting and soft underwriting. Hard underwriting means that you are selling your shares in an IPO, you're coming out with an IPO, and if the market doesn't pick up those shares, so those shares will be picked up by the investment banker, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. They will pick up the shares. This happened in Facebook. When Facebook was coming out with an IPO, a lot of the valuation was very rich according to those times. And now it is, of course, in trillions of dollars. So Goldman Sachs picked up a lot of shares. And when the IPO came, the stock tanked because it had come at a very high valuation. Goldman Sachs kept on holding the shares, and they helped the company change its business model to a mobile centric business model. And once the advertisements started coming in from mobile, the profit and loss of Facebook improved and the shares jumped. That is when Goldman Sachs sold its shares. So the role of investment bankers is very important in an IPO. And the big companies, they do a beauty parade. They call all the iBankers and give the mandate to all of them that you raise it and share the fees. And then assignments, we discussed revenue model last time, and last time we discussed financials and metrics. This time we discussed ask and utilization and exit opportunities, and hygiene tips, what to do and what not to do. Tell a story, talk metrics, use pictures, benefits. Don't make it text heavy, boring features. And like, don't use these features, give the benefit like mileage. Don't use too many logos stuffed in there. Don't use too much of text. Don't give the financials without descriptive bars and charts and graphs. Don't give it in the form of Excel. And don't try to solve too many problems. So this is the presentation today. And okay, sir, I would appreciate link to the videos. Okay, sure. So I'm sharing the link of the videos of yesterday and day before yesterday, and on the same channel I will put the videos today also, at today night or tomorrow I will put the videos. So these are the day 1 and day 2. They are on the YouTube channel, my own YouTube channel. You can search my YouTube channel. It is called Tushar Kansal, my name. And Smita says, okay, she needs, you need the link to this video also. I will put it up. Maybe today or tomorrow I'll put it up. So you can check it from my channel. The same channel from which these 2 links I have given you. And Bhagya says, okay. And thank you, Smita. And thank you all of you for coming in. We have 10 more minutes. If in case you have some questions, I'll be happy to take them. And it was very nice discussing the whole pitch deck thing with you guys yesterday and day before yesterday. And it is good to discuss it today as well. And if you have any questions, please put it on chat. Else, I will say bye and we will hang here. Just waiting for any questions. Thank you. Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Bhagya. Thank you, Sukumaran. Thank you. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With respect to your this thing that do not try to solve too many problems. Right? If in case the product is actually solving too many problems, what I could interpret from your statement is that find out in minimum words what you can state. Do not elaborate too much. Is it like that? Because if the product is actually solving too many problems, then what to do?
See, look at. I'll give you examples. Look at Tata Nano.
Okay.
So Ratan Tata, sir, said, "I will give you the car in 1 lakh rupees." And then they started hunting for a state which will give them land for free.
Okay.
Then they started looking for vendors who will give them parts at very low cost. Then they started looking for how to build safety features in the car so that its price remains within 1 lakh. End of the day, they did a engineering marvel. They were able to create a car and sell it for 1 lakh plus tax.
Okay.
Nobody bought it because people saw, still in India, people see the car as a lifestyle choice, as something which enhances their standard of living. They are not so much bothered about the 1 lakh. They were happy buying 2.5 lakh, 3 lakh rupees worth of Maruti car. They were happy buying even costlier cars. But so, a lot of people, in fact, Sir Ratan Tata is on record to say that he made a strategic mistake of giving out that, they will be selling the car for 1 lakh rupees. So everybody perceived the car as something which is not good because it is cheap.
Hmm.
So वो cheap word attach हो गया. So if you look at uh, probably Steve Jobs is called as God
Hmm.
because he created something which was top quality, and it uh, destroyed uh, a huge number of industries. It disrupted a huge
Hmm.
number of industries.
Yes.
Kotak, Kotak, the camera company went down. Sony, cameras and VCRs gone. CD players gone. iPod and the other music uh, players gone. Uh, Devices which used to give GPS location gone. So in one product, he killed and disrupted many industries. But everybody can't be Steve Jobs. He had a long tail experience in developing new products. So by and large, uh, when I say that don't try to solve too many problems, uh, what I mean to say is that focus. Focus on your core competency, your strength, and play on that. So you can give me an example in case you
Yeah.
have something in mind.
Yes. Like I believe in what you said, and still, I did only one thing. I had done farm grade freezing of sugarcane juice. Farm grade freezing.
Yes, yes, we discussed it yesterday also. Yes,
Right.
yes, yes,
So this
Vipin.
is
Yeah.
only one thing I have done. But the
Mhm.
outcome is like income of farmer, and then replacing your tea and coffee with the waterless other things, then putting down the cost of good and other products. There are multiple effects. It's a new value chain. It will come up, whatever I think. So
Hmm.
if I say small things, people say you are saying vague. You are just saying this is a very good potential. Please explain. When I explain, it becomes lengthy.
I don't know. Maybe they see it as an old economy product.
Okay.
Glacio used to be a company which came out with health drinks in 2003 and 4.
Okay.
And the founder of that company, you look at the old videos on YouTube,
Okay.
he was a maverick marketeer.
Okay.
So वो interview पे आता था, so he used to come to the interview with the bottle and keep on giving the benefits, the health benefits, as compared to the sugar based drinks. So you have
Okay.
to, instead of narrating it as a as a technology guy, as a scientist,
Hmm.
you have to be more of a brand guy. That
Yes.
how will you create a brand from this? So
That
this is my advice to you. I might be wrong, see, because you are the main founder of this product, so you know much better about this product.
I'm trying to build a brand only. I'm moving very slow in that direction because wrong step can take me back somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, that is true.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
the
see,
wrong step can, yeah.
I'm see carbon footprint. We are talking saving of water is a subject to be talked today, right? We are attempting that. So
Hmm.
there are many things which are just getting attacked by this. Suppose I'm giving you a small frozen sugarcane chunk. You can
Hmm.
boil it and make tea. You can eat it. You can make many things out of it as a B2C. But as a B2B, this product, when at the same time when we are doing farm gate processing, the bagasse we are going to use for making compost, creating oyster mushrooms at the farm gate, and again both side win-win is gonna happen. So if I don't explain, like it's a green water, green sweetener. People have
Hmm.
made laddu. Yesterday, my farmers made laddu out of sugarcane juice. No chini, no water, waterless laddu. It's a very healthy product. So these innovation will come. These are small things. Like these are applications. But when we talk about big things, new value chain, then when we talk about water, I insist to talk के आप freeze dried करते हो, आप dry करते हो, आप जो नेचर ने पानी दिया उसको उड़ा देते हो, और वही पानी आप प्रोसेस करके कीमती पानी वापस डालते हो. Transportation cost is much lesser than the value of the water. ये गन्ने के जूस को अगर आप फ्रोजन उसको खाते हो आपका गला खराब नहीं होता. व्हाट इज द इंटरप्रिटेशन? ये पानी तो डिफरेंट है उसमें. ठीक है. तो आई एम गिविंग यू वाटर विद स्वीटनर एट योर होम. Please don't use your regular water to make tea because that is very very costly. You are already processed it for drinking. So now this is a deep thing, and you need a
Is it?
louder voice.
See, let us do one thing. Let us talk offline on this, and
Okay.
we will circle back into our discussion from here till we reach out offline, because your discussion is very, centric to your company only.
Yes.
So let us take it offline. I think if your value proposition is very good, uh, does it have something to do with the fact that sugarcane consumes a lot of water?
That is something. See, there we are talking about that putting giving value to farmer and investing on that region to save water there also.
Hmm.
Today, agriculture needs only limited water which is required by crops. So how will you invest on that? Again,
Hmm.
giving value, getting back to the technology side and that side also. We need to
Hmm.
conserve water there also. No?
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
That's why we are giving premium value to farmer to invest on the farm.
Okay. Okay. Let us circle it offline, Vipan.
How do I get it? Like through a
You can. I will just. Are you on LinkedIn?
yes, I connected with you on LinkedIn
So you
through.
can just write to me on LinkedIn,
Okay, okay,
and then we will connect.
perfect. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Premlata says mail ID contact. Okay, this is my mail ID. And rest, I share my. I don't know. I already shared my LinkedIn and corporate website, so I will share it again.
Sir, in LinkedIn, I have to send you a request, then I have to send a mail, is it? How can I email you, send a message in LinkedIn?
You can send me a request on LinkedIn. I will accept your connection request. Then you can use the LinkedIn chat to chat with me, or I am straight away giving my email ID, so you can send me a mail also.
Sir, is IPO a way for investors to exit?
So when the investor puts in money, end of the day he wants to make a profit on the investment. So his idea is always to exit the investment. He might exit a smaller share, then later on he might want that the company should grow more, and then I will exit the final share. But end of the day he needs the exit, and IPO is a best way for the investors to get an exit, because it is full day liquidity. They can sell it anytime on the weekday when the stock exchange is functioning, so the shares are getting traded, he can sell anytime. So it provides a continuous window for all the investors in the company to exit anytime. So that is why IPO is the most preferred route.
Thank you, sir. So OFS is there, right? In IPO offer, is there? Are you talking about that?
Uh, so
Offer sale.
offer for sale offer for sale is used in the companies who are already listed. So they are listed, they want to sell some more shares, so they come out with offer for sale, and it a block deal happens. It's called a block deal when a lot of shares change hands in a block. It's called a block deal, and that is the OFS means that. But when a new company is getting listed on the stock exchange, it is called IPO. And because these startups are coming up to the stock exchange for the first time, they are coming with IPOs, initial
So,
public offering. Yeah.
so OFS is for existing listed
Yeah,
company.
offer for sale. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we have hit 8 o'clock. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming in, sparing your valuable time, and we can always connect offline. And thank you for sparing your time these 3 days. I'll take your leave now and have a good day.
थोड़े शब्दों में अच्छी बात कैसे कहनी है, ये बात के लिए मुझे लग रहा है मेरे को जब भी ऐसा चैलेंज आएगा, I will see your video again. You have demonstrated it very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vipul. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for sparing your time. Have a good day, all of you. I'll accept your LinkedIn invite, all of you. Dr. Wasim, I will accept it. Thank you.